Good evening, Word on Curve, family and friends. Welcome back. And for those of you who are here for the first time, come on, get in where you fit in. Tonight, we want to remind you to drink water or tea, whatever floats your boat. I'm having some cold tea tonight, suffering with allergies and sore throat. I want something cold, not hot. But I'm Annette. I'm your host here at Word on the Curb. And I stopped by because, listen, I have something to tell you. Every now and then, because we are Word on the Curb, and, our podcasts are simply about what people are talking about, no matter the rhyme or reason. It's what they're talking about. And so, one of the things I wanted to share tonight, hey, Frank and Christina, where are you? Give me a call. Mm, that felt good. One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight is just simply this boardroom secrets, right? And everybody thinks that there's this big mysterious thing that happens in the boardroom, no matter where you are, whether it's business, whether it's employment, whether it's boards that manage opportunity around wherever you live, right? And I would recommend that everybody become familiar with boards in your area. But I stopped by tonight. I first want to congratulate Janine Frisbee LaRue on her Leadership Award for Black people of New Jersey. Congratulations, Janine. You just keep doing it and making me proud. You're doing a great job. Keep going. Baby, baby, oh, baby. Let's talk about the board. This is free game tonight. Don't just get in where you fit in. Take up space when you get there. When you get in that boardroom, don't go in that boardroom unprepared. And I don't care what board, city council, commissioners meetings, the legislative meetings, the federal meetings, no matter where you are, don't walk in unprepared. Walk in like a boss and be prepared to have a real discussion, not about what you think, but what you know. That's right. You know more than you think you know. So this is for game. Take up space and learn how to navigate the table. Because until you understand that table, you're going to be confused about a lot of things. And when I say a lot of things, I mean a lot of things. And by that, I mean you're not going to understand processes. You're not going to understand how things work on the job. You're not going to understand how they pass policies, and you don't know anything about them. Yeah, you should know about them. So get in where you fit in. And getting in where you fit in is not about confrontation. So often people get to tables they don't understand or something that has happened that they don't agree with, and they think they need to fight. Mm-mm. Reserve that for when it's necessary. But coming into a boardroom or any meeting where there's a table and there are people sitting around that table, and then there's an outside perimeter, which most of us typically sit if we're not elected on the board or participating in some way at that table, right? If you're not at the table, you're on the table. And it doesn't matter where you are in the room if you're not at the table. And that doesn't mean scooted up to the table. It means at the table where you understand what's going on. This is free game tonight. Listen up. I'm not a gatekeeper. I want you to understand that. There are very specific policies and procedures that impact us, and you need to know about them. You really do. Be right with you. You need to know about them. So let's get into it, right? The goal is understanding how the table works, when to step in, and how to move in the room in the best interest of the people most impacted. Don't miss this. The people most impacted by the decisions being made at that table. Now, I'm going to say here, emphatically and without reservation. There are some people sitting in the boardroom at the table who have no business there. They have absolutely no business there because they're there for self serving purposes, but you can see them. I don't have to tell you about it. So, my first point is every table has rules, every single table. And until you understand what those rules is, what those rules are, and how they work, you might as well stand outside the door, the closed door. You have to understand the rules on motions, votes, procedures. Now, this may be boring to some of you, but you don't realize how much those tables impact your life because you're not familiar with them. Just like voting. Some of you think it doesn't matter if I don't vote. How you like them now? How do you like them now? For those of you who didn't vote, how do you like it now? All right, moving right along. This is not about voting. This is about the boardroom and where all the good stuff happens at, right? So, if you don't understand how things move, you can't influence the decisions. You can't influence any outcomes because winning starts with knowing the playbook. Give you a little bit of it tonight. Example. Think about a school board meeting. A line in the budget looks small on paper, but cutting it has severe consequences and sometimes might even affect something as big as an after school program. And for parents who work, you understand exactly what I'm saying. But you don't show up until they cut those programs or they, cut back on those programs or there's no availability at all. Get in it to win in it. That's it. You got to get in it, baby. You have to understand what's going on. And so that's kids losing safe places. And you do know that kids need a safe place to be after school, right? Especially with working parents. Now, all parents aren't working. And for those of you who are not working, your kids have no business in after school programs. Don't fight me. Fight the failing grades. Because after school programs, unless they're designated as learning centers, it's simply a place where they go to play. Spend some time with your kid. Do some homework with them. Learn about what's going on in their school. Yeah, I might be asking too much. If you know how to follow the process, then you know exactly when, to raise your hand and get at the table and have some conversation. And remember, getting to the table is not about confrontation. It's simply about being a part of the process. And as simple as that may seem, it means a lot. Being a part of the process. Number two, when policy becomes reality. Y'all with that yet? Are you with that yet? Wait, are you with it yet? Are you paying attention? Do you understand what that means? When policy becomes reality. You know who makes policy? The people sitting at the table, whether it's the White House table, the state table, the county table, or the local table. Those are the people who make policy. Those policies become your reality in one way or the other. Yeah. And so, what's decided at the table flows straight down to us. Us. It impacts us. Look at labor unions. A clause in a contract approved in a boardroom sets the tone for wages, health care, and working conditions. Did you know that? Working conditions. You guys sometimes on the job, you yelling at your supervisors and people who have to enforce those policies, right? That you didn't participate in. And you do get to participate. No board, council, commissioner, governor, legislator, president gets to do exactly what they want to do, unless you let them. And a lot of times, we're letting them. That's right, we're letting them because the most powerful thing in our possession is the vote, right down to those tables. And winning is about navigation, it's not about noise. See, a lot of people want to go on meetings, especially the important people or the people who think they're important, and they want to yell and scream. That's noise. You want navigation. And if somebody is representing you at that table, you certainly want navigation. And when they are navigating that table for you on your behalf, stand behind them, even if it literally means getting up and standing behind them when they're speaking. Yeah. Stop putting coaches in place, elected officials, board members, and then leaving them to play the game all by themselves, leaving them on the field alone with no support. Somebody's running that ball for you at that board table, in that boardroom, stand behind them. It's not about being the smartest, it's about knowing how to navigate and when to push. And sometimes you listen, and sometimes you let the room show you when to move. Now, you can only know that if you understand what's on the table. That's the agenda. I left that part out. Apologies. If you don't understand the agenda in any boardroom, and I cannot emphasize enough that somewhere, somehow, if you're walking this green earth, there's a boardroom affecting you, our legislator, our council. Yeah, they're affecting you. You don't even know what's going on. For example, a city council might decide to shift funding from community programs to infrastructure because the streets might be falling apart, right? Excuse me. Because the streets might be falling apart. Now, if you're in the room, you don't storm out or yell, you connect the dots. And so often people think yelling and telling them off and I'm going to do this. You ain't doing nothing if you're not voting. The house is on fire, in case you didn't know. We're talking about boardrooms. We're talking about tables. We're talking about things that happen. We're talking about decisions that ripple down to us. We're talking about being involved in the process. And so often we just put the coach on the field and leave him there and expect him to win the game all by himself or herself. That doesn't work. You got to be in it to win it. Mm. And this tea is delicious. From experience, that a lot of y'all talk a good game. Here's the other thing I want to tell you. For those of you who are interested in being in the boardroom, you have to understand strategy and policy. And a good speech is not it. Giving a good speech does not make a good strategist or a good policymaker or liking somebody, like what they do. I'm going to say that again, like what they do. Are they working on your behalf? We get so caught up in people giving great speeches and talking about things and not doing anything except talking. Yeah. So the boardroom secrets are simply this. Number one, know what's on the agenda and then do your homework about it. There is no way where decisions are being made that you, as the public, whether it's on a job or out in the community, cannot have access to the agenda and what it means. That's right. That's your right. Mhm. As much as I'm going to divert here for a second, the Second Amendment is the First Amendment. I agree with it. Freedom of speech. People should be able to say whatever they want. We don't have to agree with it. That's right. But we need to defend the right for people to have us. We are the people, we the people, to have free speech. You have people over there at 1600 trying to censor that. But again, that's a table that a lot of you ignored, or at the very least, thought what would happen at that table didn't apply to you. Hmm, fooled you. So here's the takeaway: boardrooms shape reality, the reality of us, how we live, what happens. If you live in a condo or in a place where there's a, um, what do you call them? Homeowners association, right? They shape what happens in that community. Why wouldn't you go to the meeting? Why wouldn't you try to figure out what was going on? Why wouldn't you come familiar with what's on the agenda? City council, commissioners across New Jersey, right? They shape what's happening in our community. Why wouldn't you be involved? You don't have to know everything, but reading a piece of paper, what's on the agenda, and if you can't read, right? No harm, no foul. That's your life. Find somebody who can. Find somebody who can and somebody who can understand. And stop believing everything you hear and do your own homework. Yeah, do your own homework. For example, there's a rumor that the National Guard went into Tennessee and they took their tanks. The people there, they did not. It's fun. It's social media. You laugh at it, but do your own homework. When they tell you that they're not cutting the budget, and you go there and you see a minus, right? That means no, negative, not happening. Ask questions. That's the rule of the boardroom. Ask questions. There's a policy up, and they're talking about, uh, for example, well, health care is rising, and we're going to have to do something about that. So we're looking to implement some things that might impact the budget. Like what? Excuse me. I have a question, please. Like what? Why are we afraid to ask questions about things that impact us? And this might be a boring topic for some, but that's why we are where we are right now. Because again, boardrooms, tables shape reality. And that reality impacts us. Because when you learn how to navigate well, you don't just change what's on paper, you change what people live every day. A lot of elected officials across New Jersey and beyond, right, speak well. But I'd like to ask, what have they done for you lately? What have they done? Hmm. So the next time somebody goes up to bat for you in a boardroom, whether it's labor, whether it's somebody who's from the community who's speaking about the need for additional funding to stop flooding, stand behind them in that boardroom. Stop sending people to do all the work and support them in it. We talked about boardroom secrets. That's the secret of the boardroom. The more active you are, the more they listen. The more you vote, the more they listen. The less you vote, the less they listen. You want to know why some neighborhoods do better than others? Number one, they have a tax base that dictates that, right? Bet you didn't know that, right? They have a tax base. It's not that they're better or, oh, they're just giving it to, they have a better tax base. Inner cities typically have every nonprofit in the world in the city. That means they don't pay taxes. And let me tell you something, that's a problem. Here's the bigger problem. Those other communities that are doing extremely well don't have a quarter of the nonprofits in their areas. And nonprofits have their place. I'm not speaking against nonprofits. I'm saying spread the wealth. So if, for example, your place has a Salvation Army, and they do intake for homeless and whatever, right? Those homeless come from everywhere, not just your community. But I guarantee you, the communities they come from are not providing shelter for them. I'm getting ready to get in trouble. But I woke up this morning and looked at myself as I posted earlier. We're going to have a problem today, aren't we? And I said to myself, yeah, not only are we going to have a problem, we're going to be a big problem. Because we're going to tell the people that if they don't get active and they don't get involved and they don't start standing behind the people who are supporting them, expect more of what you got. And if that's not enough, I promise you it's going to be even less. Get involved. Boardroom Secrets. Stand behind the people who are supporting you. Know what's on the agenda. If you don't understand it, get somebody to help you. There's not one budget cut that won't have an impact on you and me and what we're doing and how we're doing it. Hey, I'm Annette here from Word on the Curb. Boardroom Secrets are simple. Show up, get involved, vote, know what's on the agenda, and walk in that room like a boss. Not with noise, but with navigation. Have a good evening. I'll see you again soon. We'll delve a little deeper next time, but I just wanted to give you the basics tonight. Have a good evening.